I can
So
change
cool.
the that little intro. I actually asked somebody to do this for me one day, a friend, and unfortunately she didn't have time. And I was like, you know what, I'll have a crack at doing it. And yeah, this is what came out. Yeah, it was cool. It was cool to do. I don't use
Yeah.
it enough, but I suppose you only see it for a few minutes. Ro Panuganti, dude, thank you very much. Am I pronouncing this right? Your name, Ro
Perfect.
Panuganti. Oh,
Yes.
there you go. Thank you very much for doing this. I have no agenda as usual. I have nothing really
Mhm.
specific to talk about other than your channel to start with, and then we'll see what happens. But um,
Sure.
you've been doing YouTube covers for ever, it seems. Yeah, I mean, I was a late starter to doing anything on YouTube, really. But you've been at it what, 8 years, 7 years, something like that.
Um, I, I think around 6 or 7 years. Yes. I started like in high school around 2000 and I don't know, maybe 2010 or 11, and then I got into the covering music from games and movies things like right after. So it's I just
Yeah,
been doing it for so long I almost forget.
yeah, that's forever in YouTube terms, like 7 years or 8 years. Yeah, but I no, I remember because I discovered your stuff actually even before I started
Wow.
doing it, and I remember you had a couple of Satriani covers. It was really early
Oh my
on.
God. Wow.
Yeah, you remember
That's
those?
long ago. Yes.
Yeah, because like at the time there wasn't much like that, you know, the especially Satriani stuff. Like I love Satriani. Like I was a big
Oh, absolutely.
Satriani fan, and I kind of remember the Surfing with the Alien album when it came out. Like it was such,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it was a freakish album when it came out because it was just so
Oh
different
yes.
from. And I was young, like I was listening to a lot of hard rock, very very young.
Hmm.
That was next gen already for me. Like I was very classical in my rock
Yeah. No,
tastes,
me too.
and even Satriani was like, I don't even know how he does any of that.
Oh, definitely.
Do you remember hearing it the first time? Like, what was it like? Like for me, it just
Hmm. Oh man.
you can do that.
I think so. I started playing guitar in 2007. So, 10, 11 years
Oh wow,
ago.
yeah.
Wow, 11 years ago. And I had this guitar teacher, and I grew up listening to classic rock, and so did he. But he showed me like more and more music I'd never heard. So I would ask him, just show me anything, whatever gets me to play guitar better. So he would show me Rush, and then slowly I got into Metallica, Iron Maiden, and then I start hearing about guitarists, like
Yeah,
famous
yeah, yeah.
guitarists, and he has this tabs book of all Joe Satriani surfing with the alien. So we go through the entire album, and I learned all of those crazy blues things, and it opened my mind to really, really cool music styles. I loved it.
Wow.
So I was just obsessed with playing Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, both of those. And a lot of those kind of videos were popular. If you remember, like, there wasn't video game covers, it was like music covers.
Yeah, yeah. It was a lot of guitar covers, especially like what
Mm-hmm.
was that theme that everyone was doing? Canon in D or
Canon Rock,
yeah,
yes.
that kind of stuff.
I remember that one very well.
Yeah, there was some sick. Is that one you ever tried? There was some sick covers of it. Um,
Oh man, yeah. The Fun 2, the Matrak, all these YouTubers that really were around back then. It was a different different
I
time,
know, yeah. My goal for a while was having a video cover of the Cliffs of Dover
Oh man.
song.
Yes.
That actually became popular again. I think it was Guitar Hero 3 or something like
Yes.
that that had it in
Mhm.
one of the tunes. That was such a crazy tune. I was obsessed with that tune for ages. Uh,
It's so hard, but it's so
yeah,
clever. It has everything. There's like almost folk kind of like
I
picking
know. Yeah,
patterns
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
blues. Uh,
yeah.
and
And
I
then
learned most of my music from Guitar Hero 3. Funny you mentioned.
really,
Yes, most of my heavy metal and the guitar sort of music came from that one game. Everything else before was just Pink Floyd or things that people liked in high school. I didn't know too much besides what my dad listened to. And
so what happened? You started playing Guitar Hero 3, and then you were like, I need to dig in more into that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I played Guitar Hero 2, and they had a Guns N' Roses Sweet Child of Mine. So I was obsessed with that one for a long time. And then Guitar Hero 3, everyone, like, that was the first time I heard heavy metal music. Iron Maiden,
Oh, really?
Metallica,
Wow.
Slayer. And all of a sudden I was like, this is music that expresses, like, excitement
Yeah.
and, anger and everything all at once. And it was just really fun. So,
It was
oh my
really
gosh.
different genre of guitar playing, certainly. Like those classical rock ones. Like, not that there's anything wrong with
No, I
progressive rock
love
and
it
modern
all.
rock as well. Like I do, like love it. But there was especially the people who played it. They were so raw.
Huh.
And I was a teenager at the time. Like, we were watching them as as the albums were coming. Like, we were watching them just. Come up with just insane stuff on stage and saying
Oh yeah.
shit and fuck. When it's no problem saying that anymore, but at the time it was like, oh my god, like it's just so crazy.
It changed everything.
Yeah,
It
it was a
really
great
did.
time. It's great. That's crazy. That's really cool to hear though that it was Guitar Hero 3 that introduced you to a lot of this stuff. Because
Mhm.
my take on the Guitar Hero 3 was like, they're trying to just to ride the last fucking train,
Mhm.
on the rock stuff. But obviously, it actually introduced a lot of people to these tunes and these
That's the
bands.
thing. It's half and half,
Yeah.
like that show Glee. It was people doing pop versions of songs I loved, but at the same time, maybe this is what gets them into the original music.
There you go. Yeah.
Which, so, that was my intro, and then every day it was YouTube. Who's covering which songs? What gear do they have? What kind of songs do they practice? And um, then I found the Family Jewels channel. I actually found it like on a different website. I think someone copied it.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, it was
That was
funny.
another thing people like to do as well. Copy entire channels
Oh
for.
man, they
Yeah.
still do.
Yeah. I early did when I started my channel. I found out there's somebody ripping all my covers and
Oh
re-uploading it
no.
to a new channel. I was like, "Jeez,
Oh
cheeky
no.
fuckers." But
It happens.
so what was it then? Was it? Did you start soon after that going into the video game covers?
I think it was right around then. The first time I opened up anything was because I saw Family Jewels doing these video game things. I didn't know anything about recording at home, but I wanted to do Lord of the Rings because it was my friend's birthday coming up and he likes Lord of the Rings. So I just, tried learning, experimenting. I don't know anything, didn't ask for help. But I started realizing, like, I've always been liking, video game music. I just didn't realize I could play it on guitar and, that could be a thing. I didn't
I
know you
know.
could
Yeah.
record music at home. I
Yeah.
thought you had to have a studio and all these things. And I messaged Jules and he told me everything he uses, which was very patient of him. And then I just started making them every week, just doing one, learning something new, hating the last one,
Of
fixing,
course.
you know,
Yeah.
slowly started doing bigger projects. And uh, as I'm sure you've seen, things like GameLark and the Reddits and things kind of happened afterwards, albums. It's all just been like from learning each song, one new thing, one new trick,
Yeah.
one new instrument.
It's a super cool journey, I have to say, for myself as well. Doing that YouTube stuff is just because obviously you meet a lot of people, but you develop new sort of techniques for yourself for recording. You learn new stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's been a really really interesting journey, and I always say like the process itself of doing all that is probably more interesting than the end result you get at the end.
I
But
agree.
it's been really cool. So what was the trigger then for you to decide to do video game stuff?
Hmm. I think the real like trigger was once I started trying, because yes, I loved video games. I liked seeing these game channels starting to come out and people doing this. For some reason, it just was a really cool way to combine two hobbies.
Yeah.
But I went to like a stream, and I started talking to other people, and there was maybe like 20 people in the stream. It's very small, very tight knit. And I all of a sudden started talking to other people just like me, They didn't know too much guitar or recording, but they were just having fun with it, and they wanted to meet people and kind of, you know, grow, make it big on YouTube or whatever. So I met one of my best friends, Jonathan Parecki, just in that stream immediately, and we started collaborating and coming up with songs together. And I never did that in person. I never did that with a band.
Yeah.
It was really hard in high school, especially because I'm from the south of the United States, right? So rock and roll and metal isn't as popular as country or blues and pop rap. So, you know, I just never had the chance. And then here I was with someone in New York and we're working together. It's fantastic. And that was just so addicting, you know? It became like something I had to keep doing. It was just really fun. So from there, I started doing more video games, and it was a lot of the old ones. All of the nostalgia for me was Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo,
Of course, yeah.
Game Boy games. And, you know, I started doing all of those because nostalgia is weirdly powerful, you know? It's just either it's, you know, something like Super Mario that everyone knows, or it's something really small that nobody knows, you know, like Earthbounds or Terranigmas or any of those games. So, you know, video games were a natural step, and I still love doing movies or band music or TV shows or anime. Well, I haven't done much anime, but, you know, but video games are just, there's something special, you know?
Who was talking about that recently? I remember seeing a tweet about it seems to be some not conflict, but just a bit of clashing between anime covers and video game covers. Was it Subversive Acid? Or,
and yes, from GameLark.
Yeah,
there's kind of a friendly competition between anime. But I do think everyone finds the one that they love a little more. And for me, anime covers, they're fun, but I don't watch too much anime as much. And a lot of the intros, they're very rock and roll already. So I feel like there may not be as big of a difference when I put it out. With a video game, you know, you take out your guitar, your banjo, your anything, and it's different. Instantly, and it feels special. So
that's a good point, actually. But they're already rock covers, because it's obviously the video game covers and the ones you seem to choose weren't exactly rock
usually
themes to start with. And I go to the same process. Like, I refuse to do anything that has sort of banjo-y feels to it. So stuff like whatever
Last of Us.
yeah. Although the more I'm thinking about it, but no, stuff like the Asteroid tune from Earthworm Jim or Banjo Kazooie, some of the tunes, that kind of stuff. I'm like, it's already banjo stuff in it, you know. So there's no point, you know. That's the whole thing. But I'd say it's the same with probably rock covers. Like, you kind of, it's probably
you could think Sonic the Hedgehog or Doom.
Yeah.
A lot of fighting games. They already did the special part, so it doesn't mean I won't do it. But it makes it either harder or, you know, maybe not as fun.
And then you'll always be your playing will always be compared to the original piece, you know. And no, I go to the I go to the same person. It's funny, I didn't never realize there was some competition between the anime world and the video game.
It's a little bit of a joke. But I have not done more than maybe 2 or 3 anime covers, just because they're already rock and they're a little formulaic, which can be tough. I don't want to make it. I don't want to ruin a good song. You know.
No, I agree. I think I've done only one that was from Death Note. And that was I think that's the only anime one I did. I don't exclude it. I'm probably like you. I don't exclude it, but it's just at the same time, so many really cool tunes that you'd love to bring out of their whatever coffin in there at the moment. You know,
the ones people haven't heard yet or haven't done your style. So it makes it more fun. I agree.
Yeah, definitely. It's it's funny because you're every time I look at some form of collective or a group or your name is there somewhere, whether it's Materia Collective or Pixel Mixers or GameLark. Are you involved? Are you involved in all these?
Yes, different roles.
Yeah,
So Gamelark, I'm right now serving as Headlark because Alan, who obviously created everything,
yeah,
is moving to his passion of writing. So he wanted to pass it on. So right now I'm in charge of that one.
yeah. He did that a
Uh,
while back, though. I remember.
a few months ago, he passed the
Yeah,
torch.
he had a very emotional video about it. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
and he's still going to watch all the videos and help us out. But he has to follow his own
Of course.
creating just like we do.
Yeah,
So with Pixel Mixers, I helped create the Reddit VG covers, but we actually combined forces with a website called Game Tabs because they had a great forum, a lot of musicians. So I asked Hashel, who is basically in charge of Game Tabs, if he'd like to combine. And Hashel is basically the one doing all of the administrating. So we have a Discord that I'm
yeah.
sure you know about, but and we like to collaborate, make group albums, kind of help people get started, or people just have some excitement. You have friends and people to learn from, work with. So right now, my role there is a little smaller because I
It's a
don't
cool
have.
Discord channel though you guys have there. Like it's very busy and then very collaborative. Like it's
Yes.
actually really cool. And
Mhm.
Ashel has a tight ship there as well,
Absolutely.
organizing
we
everything. Yeah,
we have contests every month, and I mean this one we're actually using my channel's contest as the theme. So there's it's one of those things where you can wake up and go to this kind of place and you have purpose, you have ideas. So that's what I like about Pixel Mixers. And Materia Collective, I've been on a few albums, and there's 500, 600 people in there.
yeah,
It's humongous, and they do so many things. But the thing I've done the most there is I've published albums through them, so they've helped me market it, license, which is a very important step. And they've helped me make some of my proudest work. So I'm very grateful for that group as well.
yeah. It's a big group, and they do. Yeah, they produce a lot of stuff. I was talking to Lord Biff Music as well. Like in
Yeah.
his channel went through a couple of hiccups recently, getting demonetized and that kind of stuff. So I was asking him what he wanted to do next. Was he still going to do music?
Right.
But he was like, yeah, he's still going to do music, but obviously he wants to do a lot of stuff with the Materia Collective as well, apparently. So.
Oh yeah.
And I've it's one thing I've never really looked that much into it.
Hmm.
Those groups, like I'm in the Pixel Mixer
Sure.
Discord, and I've done a couple of
Hmm.
collaborations there, but yeah, I've never. I haven't done probably enough or as much as I like to do. It does take a lot of time. Like you've done a lot
It
of
does.
collaborations.
Yes, I love collaborating.
Yeah,
I think the first thing that blew me away about YouTube, besides the fact you can make music at home,
yeah,
was that you can make music with people from, France, for example. Working with Lord Biff, that was a beautiful, fun process, and I've always wanted to work with him. And I've worked with people, South America, North America, Canada, a lot of people, Australia. It's just such a cool process that whenever I can, I always try to collaborate, or even if I just play a guest part and
yeah.
learn about someone else's music style a little more.
I've done only a handful of collaborations, and I have to say I really love it. And I love the idea that, like you said, like I can be in this tiny little room and collaborate with Mariachi Entertainment System and do who are over in the US, and then work with Soundhole, who's over in Sydney in Australia. It's so amazing, and like coming from a very old style of recording and making music
Sure.
in a studio environment. Like you lock yourself up and you for a weekend and you come up with a couple of tracks. Like just suddenly being able to do it at home in your own time with minimal equipment. I mean, this is the
Right.
one mic I use for everything, and I have a small
Really?
yeah. When I started the channel, I had just an iPhone 4, and that's all I recorded with. So the first 15 covers, that was an iPhone 4. It's just doing everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like it's you need so little to do acceptable music by to the standard,
Hmm.
and the fact that you can do it across the world, I that's the part I love. Like it's yeah, it never ceases to amaze me.
Hmm.
Like that, we can have a live conversation, even though
I,
the video freezes a bit at times. But
sure.
yeah,
All right, we're back.
it's fantastic. Like it's been a great experience in that respect for me YouTube.
Hmm.
And I don't know, like, had you a plan to start a channel when you started making your covers? Like, was that the end goal all along?
Hmm. That's a good question. So I think my goal has always been, and it's not reached, of course. I don't think it ever will be, but was to make music that would, be entertaining. I really wanted to make music that would inspire people to learn guitar, especially because, the music that I heard from Joe Satriani, from Steve Vai, from Family Jewels, from everybody in this community and more, it's always music that I wanted to jam out to, not just to listen to, but to learn things that are kind of fun to play.
Yeah,
And, making a big impact so that, when people, enjoy this channel, there's some benefit. And that's still my goal. I think doing things like charities have helped. Trying to do more like original music, writing original riffs, being a little more creative with the covers. I feel like that's been my goal. And everyone has goals of subscribers and
yeah,
views
yeah.
and
Of
things like
course.
that. I give up on those. They'll come and go, and it is important to grow. But um, I've learned that so many wonderful things can happen to any channel, any size.
Yeah,
It really doesn't matter anymore.
yeah.
What the numbers are.
Especially being a artistic, having an artistic channel and being a musician on YouTube, and there's other perks than just sheer numbers of subscribers. Obviously, it's meeting
Right.
certain specific people, having an
Mhm.
actual composer reach out to you and go, "That was a really cool job you did on my
That's so
music."
cool.
It just like it's happened to me a few times. It's happened to everybody. I don't know if it's happened
Yes.
to you. I'm sure it has.
A few times, and it's
Yeah.
amazing.
It's
It'll.
just yeah, and then it's funny because it's every time it happens, it's on a cover that isn't necessarily doing well, and you're looking at it
Right.
going, well, fair enough, and then you get this message from the composer going, that was really cool and well done, I really enjoyed it, and that's it, I'm done.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's the goal.
yeah. It's a great feeling. Yeah, there's other perks. Like I never had a goal of really starting a channel to start, at the beginning.
Sure.
I made first, I don't know, a few 10 covers, something like that. It was just for me to enjoy myself and have fun creating something a bit
Mhm.
different. Still is actually, yeah,
Yeah, it's nice.
yeah,
You make something, you spend your time, and even if no one watches it, you watched it, and
yeah. It's
it's.
rare that no one watches it, especially if you deal with stuff
Mhm.
like video game music, because the power of nostalgia itself is very strong with video games to start with. But then
Right.
music is so evocative. Like, of all the artistic expressions you can have, music is the one where you can look at a screenshot and it's just a screenshot. It's nice, it's beautiful, it's
Mhm.
great to look at. You remember the game briefly, and that's it. But you hear a piece of music, and now you remember where you were. You remember what emotional state you were in, who you were with, who you played it with, and all this kind of stuff. Like, it's so much more evocative than anything else. So
Very well put. Yes.
you have people coming and commenting on your channel, and suddenly they give you their life story of when they played the game. That's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
it's really, really cool.
And that's one thing I've also like lately, in your videos.
Oops.
How did you like this game? Who is your favorite character? And you start hearing about more gamers and more stories, and
Yeah.
people give you so much rich feedback this
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's cool to hear. And like, yeah, I assume you said in my videos I asked people what they experienced with their game. We had a bit of a freeze here.
Oh yes, like for example, I did the new Super Smash Brothers theme song, and I put at the top, "Who's your favorite Smash
Yeah,
character?"
yeah,
And why. And people started telling me, I love playing as Sonic. I love playing as, this, or I want to try this. And you start having a conversation with people, and it just feels like something you could never have dreamt of doing 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
And when I started my channel, my first video is in pajamas, I'm pretty sure. I thought no one would watch it. I remember very clearly, I thought to myself, no one's going to watch this. Let me just shoot the video now in the dark, in pajamas.
Well, 7 years ago, that was pretty much the standard for most YouTube videos, especially guitar
As
covers.
long as you were on the camera and someone could see you in the video, that was good. That was good enough.
The methods of production have changed though drastically. I don't know if you still like. I don't. Some people get upset when they hear that, but the track you're hearing on my videos is not necessarily the track I'm playing on the video. So I'm playing on the video, but it might not be this track that I kept, because I usually record a few tracks, with the audio, and then I do have a few video tracks as well. But it's just from experience, I tried to do it live with the video initially, and it's so tedious and complicated. It works, but it just takes at least twice as much time. So now it's much easier to record the video first, edit it properly, and I keep the mic on when I record the video as well, because there might be a piece of a track or an actual track that is worth keeping and then reusing or put it back into the mix. So I do that as well. But usually the video is not the music you're hearing, if you want, in a way. It is, because I'm still playing it. But
right.
So it's taught me a lot of that stuff as well, the methods of production for a video.
I agree. Yeah. And I've tried every single video to improve and make the experience better. When you click on a YouTube video, I feel like, especially for your videos, I'm being entertained because you have so many instruments, or I want someone to see like me having fun in a video too. It's a performance. It's not just the audio.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like I did a silly one for Jurassic Park. So I covered the theme, but I borrowed my friend's inflatable dinosaur suit.
Yeah.
And I put more video of that than the guitar playing, because obviously I didn't record it outside and I didn't record the audio.
Yeah.
It's about the performance. And that's a funny example, but yeah, I think I only do live once or twice.
Yeah, I did it a few times. Initially they were like, and it was just a nightmare to try and coordinate. And it's not because the playing was difficult or anything like that. It's just to re-edit back it's not a clever way to do videos. And I know some people do play live. There was what was his name?
Right.
Songe le Rêveur.
I think Songe is live.
Yeah.
Carlos,
yeah.
I believe he does almost all of it live.
Yeah, we can't all be Carloses.
We can't. I've tried.
Can't. It's really tough. It's really tough. And then 99.9% of all music production is done this way.
Right.
Because it just, it saves so much time. It would be so stressful and time consuming, and it's not as flexible. You can't be as creative when you do that as well. So
you're too scared to mess up. I will say though, when I collaborate with Carlos or David Russell, the piano player, both times I'm almost always giving them live footage, because they give improvised live footage, and it is very hard for me to improvise and then act it out again.
Redo it again. I see what you mean. Yeah,
it takes a lot of work.
Also, you will notice, like when you have live performances from if you contribute into a live performance and then you have a pre-recorded performance on top of it or behind it, suddenly it clashes, because they might, I don't know,
live. It's not alive.
It wouldn't work as well. You pretty much have to. Yeah, I've played live all my life in Ireland, playing Irish music in pubs, and it's a very, very different swing you get out of a live performance,
absolutely.
which is really, really hard to reproduce in a recording, especially if you're using anything like a click track or anything like that. You lose a lot of the dynamics,
the MIDI kind of drums, the electronic things. That's very hard to get realistic. And when you hear someone playing live, there's an energy. that's excitement.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
you have to try to capture that as best. So for like blues, for jams, for jazz, I think it sounds so great when you can have people play live. But other than that, I'd rather have the video look nice, like yourself. And
Yeah, it's a different exercise, and people do expect now when they click on a video, they do expect an acted video of some sort. Like I don't do much acting really. I still play the tune with my head down, and you can barely see my eyes. But it just they still expect some sort of nice angle or nice changes and that kind of stuff, which you can't get. And sometimes I have 3-4 tracks on the same instrument, so it's just
right. Or you do live the first video and then you try to remember it for the next angle, and
Oh yeah, no, it's impossible.
it can get very, very messy. But
Yeah, but I it's funny. How do you choose your songs? I try to usually do songs that obviously I have some. I've either experienced firsthand or I know. Well, usually I've experienced firsthand, but I have a nostalgia for. But do
Right.
you? Is that the same thing for you? I have a feeling that a lot of VGM artists share that sort of one.
Right. I think I started out like yourself, only songs that I have played the game for, or the movie, I've seen the movie. And I think that was like our golden rule, like you said. But slowly I started trying to think of ways to grow the channel and myself. So one thing I tried and I stopped was I took requests using the website
Ah, no, you
Patreon.
can't do that.
It is so hard. But what happened was sometimes the people would choose requested songs, like from games they know I like, The Witcher, Zelda,
Yeah.
things, and it was great. Or sometimes they would pick very good songs that weren't already, rock. But sometimes I would get songs that I don't know, I don't like,
Yeah.
and nobody knows, so they perform poorly, and that's where it gets really hard because I don't want to be just covering songs that are popular and be unhappy. I want to cover songs that I think I can do a good job with. So I had to learn to kind of balance it. If I hate a song, I'll just start messing with it a lot.
Yeah.
Eventually, I just quit, and now I'm just doing original music or music songs I like. I just write it down on a big list,
The
big
list.
paper list.
Yeah, I have a
Everyone has one.
yeah, I have a list as well. I keep saying mine is 7 years long at my current schedule, and I've been saying that for a few years now. It's actually probably more than that. It's crazy the amount of tunes that are in there. But I have a lot of stuff from the Amiga world and Sega and MSX stuff. Like people that stuff that most people wouldn't know necessarily.
Right.
But it's funny. Usually the very niche stuff especially from the Amiga world, does really really well. It's funny, like the MSX stuff as well, which is surprising. I did a tune from a tune from a game called Nightmare, and it's almost at 10,000 views. Like, and then it's funny. It's I didn't think anybody knew about that game other than hardcore MSX fans,
Right.
and there couldn't be 10,000 around the world these days.
And sometimes you reach people who haven't played the game.
Yeah, that's what
Because
happened.
they like you for your music, and I think that's important.
How much of that is a big part of a channel doing well? People sort of.
That's a good question. I think it's very important you establish you for you.
Yeah.
Even if that means, so, okay, what's the most popular game? Like when Undertale was going on, everyone is covering it.
Yeah.
So, but that's where you have to be yourself, or I feel like you can easily get swallowed in. And speaking as a guitar player in the YouTube world, where there's tons and tons of guitar players and tons of video game cover artists, all doing some form of metal or rock, it's very important, I think, to find what makes you different and what makes you happy. So I've tried, sticking to that.
Yeah.
Even if I have to cover things no one, has heard of. I covered, Hamilton. I just covered the Muppets. Not everyone is going to know these things, but as long as they like your channel, I think you still have a little bit of power there.
Yeah, I think people are attracted to the games you cover and obviously the sound you have as much as the personality that's behind your channel, and that's probably the hardest to cultivate.
Yes.
Or I was going to say create, but you don't want to create a fake personality either. Like,
Right.
you know, when I started,
Well,
people were going, you know, why do you dress like a whatever wannabe hipster with the shirts and the hat? And I was, no, I dress like that. Like, I've always.
I didn't know that's considered
I
hipster.
mean, neither did I. I said I've had a beard and a hat and those shirts long before it
A
was
beard and
cool.
a hat, that's all I
Yeah,
need.
long before it was cool. I'll wear them long after it's cool. But yeah, it's but I think that was a lot of the reasons that people got attracted to the channel early on. Like, you know, maybe I don't. I'm discovering all this stuff as I'm going through it as
Right.
well. Like,
Actually, what would be like the game series that does best on your channel? And is it like one you like, or is it just the one that happens to perform well?
well, it's hard to know because it would probably be Castlevania. The Castlevania series as a whole would have the more views. But stuff like Monkey Island covers did really, really well. I want to do more from that. And I did a few covers from a game called Turrican. This was a game, and the music by Chris Hulsbeck. And I have plans, and we've talked together about it, of doing a full album of covers from his music.
Wow.
Because they did really, really well, especially with. Because I didn't realize, but those games were released as well on the Genesis and the SNES, and some of the music actually made it over to those versions. So they're actually more popular than I thought they were. I thought they were limited to just the Amiga or the C64, but no, they've crossed over to a few different platforms.
Right.
So a lot of people wouldn't have known them, and a lot of people probably of my age or in their 30s would know them.
Right.
So they've done really well as well. I want to do more than from that series, and I know they do really well. But anything Castlevania, Mega Man, obviously, the Undertale covers did quite well, as they did on most people's channels. I didn't get millions out of it,
yeah.
but I got a few hundred.
No, I didn't either. I was too late. I was kind of skeptical.
Likewise, yeah, because that's how I discovered the game, and I really enjoyed the game, I have to say. But I discovered the game. Everybody was covering Undertale, like suddenly, like overnight, and I was going, "The fuck is that game?"
Yeah.
I can't just do a cover from a game I haven't played, so I want to play it first. So I started playing it, and then just got stuck into it. And by the time I got to play it and finished it, and got to do a cover. The train had left the station and it was
Exactly. Because I'm a huge Earthbound fan, and many people were showing it to me, and I was like, "This is just like Earthbound."
Yeah.
You know, what's the difference? But I realized the maker is a huge fan, so that's why he was so inspired. And by the time I got there, my Undertale covers didn't do the best on my channel anyway.
Yeah.
But the reason why I asked is because a lot of times I feel like people's best work isn't their favorite work.
Yeah.
It's very rare when you can actually do really well with the game series. Like for me, and I don't know how this happened, Zelda is my favorite game series of all time. And after last year, when Breath of the Wild came out, those were my best covers I think I've done. They were received very well. The albums did well. Everything else has done far less. But it just so happened to be my favorite. So
Yeah.
do you keep doing your favorite that does well, or do you try something new? It's a lot of challenges. I'm still doing Zelda, but
Zelda is an interesting one because there's always going to be a Zelda at some point. There's going to be a new Zelda game every
super
year, or
popular.
it's so popular. So every time a game comes out, you do a cover from that game maybe, and then the rest of your covers will do well again. Like that's what I noticed. If there's a new,
that's nice. Yes.
the new Zelda, suddenly there's a spike in views for the other covers that I've done from Zelda. It's just
Right.
people start searching for these as well.
Yes. The
But,
playlisting and stuff.
Yeah, it's hard now. How do you choose which cover you do? Because I thought I had a process. I had a list, and I did an organized list, and I'm going to do the first one from top and down. And now not only I've skipped, but I haven't gone to my list in a long, long while, I have to say. And it's just
Right.
tunes get stuck in my head, and I have to cover them. That's really how it is at the moment
Yes.
for me.
I think it's like that too. I used to follow a list, and I still do pretty closely, but sometimes it does have to do with trends. If there's a new game coming out, because YouTube has made it so that if you have a smaller channel, you have to be first in order to stand out, and it stinks. But sometimes I think it's a little worth it
Yeah.
just to make sure that the music gets shared. But honestly, it's also the writing. If I come up with a guitar riff or something cool in my mind, then I have to do it. I think that's where it feels really special, very original and like yourself. It's stuck in your head,
Yeah.
but it's tricky. I also can't cover songs. If I've heard someone else do a really good version, it gets even harder because I don't know how to introduce something new and I don't want to copy it, and it can
Oh
get
yeah, I see
tough.
what you mean. Yeah, yeah. I
So
I don't have Yeah, I don't have that
Mhm.
problem because there's very few people doing banjo mandolin type of covers, so I don't get
Right.
influenced by too many. There's a couple of nice channels that have acoustic
Mhm.
stuff. Like there's a Kane White does
Yes, Kane,
um
Master Ted,
yeah, Master
Poop
Ted,
Poop Fart.
Poop Poop
I
Fart.
think he
Yeah.
uses.
There's another great one that I follow as well is Alina Gingertail. She's a
I'll have to check it out.
Russian girl. She does a lot of and pretty much very similar instruments that I'm using. There's accordion, there's bouzoukis, there's banjo, mandolin,
Mhm.
tin whistles, and that kind of stuff. And she sings as well. They're
Wow.
really, really cool. Do check it out. Actually, I'll send you the link to her channel,
Yeah.
Alina Gingertail, and she's doing really well actually. And but she's Russian. I don't think she's much English, so
Oh,
it's
okay.
it's hard to get in touch with her. But it's beautiful, actually, beautiful music she does.
Wow.
And I forgot what my point was. Yeah, so I don't get influenced too much
Yes.
by other. But as a guitar player, it must be hard because there's a lot of
Right.
guitar channels on YouTube. It must be hard first
Right.
not to get influenced and then to rise out of that. I mean, how do you new
Right.
people do it? How do you do it?
Well, if I do it, well, it's a really good point, and I'm glad that you sort of sympathize because that is, I don't think anyone should give up on making a guitar channel just because there's so many.
No,
Instead,
no, no. Yeah,
you find what makes you different from the rest, and one thing I love is blues, classic rock, improvisation. These are things that I know some of my favorite guitar channels maybe they don't often use
yeah,
because they're focused differently. My favorite channels like Family Jewels, there's a lot of metalcore, and Richard EB, it's a lot of technical metal and progressive,
yeah.
and it's different. And for me, I feel like I'm combining a different sort of classic rock and modern rock approach. So I feel like you could listen to the same cover confidently by me, by any of my peers, and they'll all be unique. They will all be different songs. And it's funny, I can't say why quite yet because it's not announced, but I was thinking of live performance. And if, I were to hypothetically play live with other video game guitarists, what if we do the same song? What if we all do like Gourmet Race from Kirby or something? Like, will they get bored of it?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
you have to be different. Start it differently. I tried changing the tempo. There's a lot of metal out there. What if I do a clean version? What if I do funk?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
if I do acoustic? And all of these different little things turn into this thing that I call my style, I
Yeah.
guess.
I suppose
And
you do have to
yeah.
be or try to change things around a bit, especially when you have a guitar channel like yours, because obviously there's so many guitar channels, but also like I don't change the tempo or key much. I just pretty much play the tune as it was written, but you can't just do that when you have a guitar channel anymore.
Well, the competitive environment now
Yeah,
is
yeah.
such, like you said, and I think this is
Is it a
my
competitive environment though? Is it competitive?
yes and no.
In
I do think there is competitiveness a little bit.
Yeah,
Being the first to cover something. We all love each other. We're all friends. This is wonderful. I think that's important, but the end of the day, we are trying to
Yeah,
fiercely be unique and
yeah,
be remembered. And like for example, Shady Cicada, myself, Momega, Rashadi B, and countless other channels, Dachingrata, we all released the Super Smash Brothers 5 theme song within a week of it coming out
oh, that's
on
tough.
E3. And I think it would be lying if I said that wasn't a little competitive, but we're not afraid because we're all unique.
Yeah.
Each version was different, but you do have to kind of really push yourself to be yourself. You can't, fall into the cracks. You can't blend in, or else it's
Is it
very hard to.
is it that detrimental though if you all release, from one game within the week, like 5 people releasing a video from or the same tune in different like I would assume that if it's popular or if one of them will do well,
Right.
the others will probably be suggested at some point.
That is also very true. I think it's actually helpful that, we're all trying to do this song anyway.
Yeah.
YouTube does what's the recommended videos. So whoever has the most subscribers or the biggest channel, their video will be eventually put to the top. But whoever has the second most, they'll get recommended
Yeah.
and so on.
Because this
So,
is sort of what happened with Undertale.
Yes.
Like you kept seeing, like if you watch one, you kept seeing that same tune by other people for about a week afterwards. Like it was just crazy.
Right.
And then it was Celeste for a while recently, and Persona
Celeste.
5.
Cuphead.
Yeah, Cuphead was another big one.
That was a hard one to cover. I think that's why we didn't see too many of those.
Yeah, I didn't go near that thing.
That game was too hard for me to play or cover.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a great,
But-
great looking game. Though. It was really
yes.
hard, but yeah.
But yeah, I think the power of the trend is that everyone will do well, but it can, you don't want everyone to get sick of it too. And that's also something I kind of used to worry about.
Yeah.
Like every time I do an album, that's like 5-6 songs all from one game. What if someone hated Metroid? What if they hate Zelda?
They
Are
shouldn't be
they just
listening.
gonna? Well, that's the thing. It shouldn't matter. I don't think it should matter because if
Yeah.
you like my channel, your channel, you'll get over it.
Yeah, that's the
Or
thing.
maybe you'll try it.
Yeah, that's the thing I tell myself. Like, if I do a tune, like when I did the tune from Nightmare, like I was like, nobody's gonna know about it. But at first I really want to do it, and then I was like, look, if they've enjoyed the channel so far, I've done stuff that was somewhat obscure before, and a lot of I find a lot of one of the reason people come to the channel, and it's probably the same with yours, is because they like the way you do stuff.
Right.
They like
It's
the way you
the
arrange.
brand.
So the tune obviously is going to attract new people to the channel, but the people that are there already will probably like the fact that you've done a tune that they don't know and be interested in the way you arranged it to start with. I could be wrong. I could be way off, but I tell myself that every time I do something that's
Oh,
slightly
definitely.
obscure.
Actually, have you ever listened to a cover or from a game you didn't play and then decide to play it? Like they convinced you?
Well, yeah, Undertale.
Yeah,
It was the case
there
with
you go.
Undertale. I was like, geez, what is it? Like, and the music is really cool. Megalovania or the Asgore theme, or it was just they were
Yeah.
really compelling tunes. So I was like, I got to try that game to start with. And then after doing the game, I was like, okay, I'll do a cover. Yeah, that's cool. And then obviously I was way too late to rack up the views, but it still did well. And
Oh yeah, no,
yeah.
I remember your Megalovania.
and then I did a few more. I think I did 4 from Undertale, which is just way less than most channels.
I think
For a
I've
while,
done,
Richard
I've done 4 too.
Richard did really well actually on his channel with those. Like,
Well, I mean, I think he likes to think of it as the game that allowed him to move,
really okay, yeah,
all the way
interesting.
across and
Look
do
at it
well.
was
And
it was well deserved. He's a very good
absolutely,
musician.
I
and-
think that was one of those cases where the right time, the right game, the right person, and he already had great video and audio. And I don't know if it'll happen again for anyone, but I think it has in little bits and pieces.
Yeah.
It still will.
I feel a lot of people are waiting for the next Undertale effect.
Right, and they're hopping on it.
Yeah, yeah.
New game. I hope everyone
Yeah,
obsesses
yeah.
over this
Hopefully
for
it'll
the
be a new
next few
Undertale. It
years.
hasn't happened yet, but
I
maybe
mean,
some new game.
Cuphead and Celeste were great examples. And I think Persona 5 was a good one. Momega, another great channel, he blew up from all these Persona 5 covers that he made right when the game came out. He has great video footage. He's a good piano player and guitar player. So, you never know what your next Undertale could be. I tried doing Breath of the Wild first, and it did actually do, fairly well for me, and it was surprising because that was the first time I ever
Yeah,
made something seriously. That's when I changed my
really.
name from Swiggles to Row.
Oh yes, I meant to ask you actually. When was that? Well, you just answered that, but
Right after the Zelda album came out, and
yeah,
I started noticing people enjoying it. And then I realized maybe I should just go by my real name.
yeah, that was a
And
great change.
I grew up not like being encouraged to do music so much, school first and all that. So I figured I shouldn't put my real name. I was kind of, what's the word? Uh, Protected as a
Yeah,
child a little bit. And then, you know, I'm me. I think if people Google my name, they should be able to see
yeah,
my.
exactly. No, I agree. Yeah,
So the
uh,
next album I did was very serious, the Metroid one, and I said that needs to say Row. That can't say Swiggles.
that's
That'll
cool.
sound too
And
silly.
your channel art looks really cool actually with your name. I meant to say like I wanted to ask
Thanks.
you about that because it's just, I remember I knew a Swiggle obviously, but yeah, when you change that, yeah, I don't know. It looks well. You know?
Which one? The guitar photos and all that?
Your channel art, your yeah,
The
you
the
know your
banners
YouTube
or
banner, yeah.
oh yes, those are pictures
Yeah, it
and
just looks
stuff. I
really
started.
pro, and your name looks well on there. Like I think it
Thanks.
works a lot better than Swiggles.
I will say, well, the other aspect is there aren't many Indian guitarists in the world. There also aren't many video game guitarists that are Indian or
Yeah,
musicians or YouTubers. So I never had to worry about my name not standing out. It wasn't like, Bob Jones, so it
yeah,
was kind of lucky. No one's going to take RP, although there is a very popular person using a big R.
really, yeah.
But
I think it's
yeah.
important to have your name in some form
Hmm.
in your channel name, something like
It's you.
I've
You're a
Ollie
person,
in there.
right?
It kind of it's self-explanatory what I do.
Right.
But yeah, I wonder. I had this very briefly a discussion again when he was here, when he came to visit with Lord Biff about, would you not put your name actually in
Oh,
and
right.
yeah, it kind of is, and there's a story behind the name anyway. But
Hmm.
yeah, because stuff like that, I don't know, like Family Jules. I assume his name is Jules.
Right. Yes. No, it's easy to understand.
Yeah, yeah,
That was his nickname.
yeah.
I know a lot of people go by other names too, and it kind of works
It
out.
worked
But
well. Smooth McGroove certainly worked for him.
right, right.
Yeah, Insane in the Rain
um,
actually. Yeah, Carlos doesn't have his name in.
right. And well, now he's using both. He's been credited on like albums as Carlos, and
Really,
then
yeah,
yeah. So you never know, but I think it worked for him because no one
exactly.
else did Insane in the Rain.
Yeah.
You know.
I think Subversive Asset actually, yeah, he should use his own name as well. 'Cause
I
it's
would
a cool
love to
name,
see
yeah,
him use his name,
yeah.
uh, but at the same time, I feel like Asset is so important to him because he's the mathematician we all ask
That's
all of our
true,
tax,
yeah.
our licensing questions. I think there should be something kind of financial in the name or something.
That's actually, yeah, it's not a bad point. I should have him back on this. It was actually a great conversation we had. He's very
Oh, I'd
passionate
love
about
to.
the YouTube stats kind of
Yes,
stuff,
YouTube
and
stats, licensing. I love talking to him about this copyright law.
yeah, yeah. I've no usually interest in statistics and numbers, but when he talks about it, somehow all these things become interesting.
He has the passion.
He's a talent for it. He's a passion, clearly. Yeah, we should have him back. I'll ping him after this, maybe, if he wants to do it.
Yes.
I'm sure YouTube has probably changed something that I'm not aware of, and
Oh yeah,
he'd love
we'll
to
have to
talk about.
update it.
Have you been hit at all with any of these YouTube changes? If you,
Good question. I think I've suffered the most from very low view counts due to So I grew most of my subscribers slowly. There wasn't one day where I got everything, but I'm so grateful that one of my and then afterwards it was just very slow. So
Yeah.
now I think of all of my subscribers, only a few of them get the video updates, the notifications, because YouTube doesn't share it with everyone. It only sends it to viewers they think will watch your video. But what if you make a video that they want to watch, they don't get to see it anymore?
Yeah.
I haven't been hit by demonetization, luckily, or anything like that, because I upload so much. Because when you make so many videos, I think the watch time works, but
Yeah.
it is really hard to grow. So I've been using Twitter. I've been trying to use Reddit. I've been working with the guitar company who has been helping share my videos more. So I'm doing everything
Nice.
outside of YouTube to bring them back in. Oops.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that way, I think it's slowly keeping the channel alive. And I think that'll make it okay. I'm not too worried about the claims or anything like that because it actually protects our channel. It's kind of like making sure that someone who made the music is in charge. Like Materia has been helping with Content ID for my music too. But YouTube has never been harder to get into.
Yeah.
Like if we were making our videos, the quality you make them today in 2008, it would be it'd be over. It would blow up so well.
Of course. Yeah.
But times have changed. There's way more people and there's way more
It's,
crazy new rules.
there's some terrible content, but there's some very, very good content, and a lot of it is hard to compete with. A lot of the, and it's not a competition, but it is.
Right,
again,
right. It is. It's like the math behind it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
There's more
Yeah.
things. It's harder to find. And we're still all friends. It doesn't matter if there's, if someone does better or worse, but
Yeah.
obviously all your equipment costs money, and we have to kind of.
But it's every time I hear that every year. It's never been harder to do stuff on YouTube, and it was the
That's
case
true.
4 years ago. I'm sure it was the case 5 years ago and 6 years ago. Like I've always heard that you should have started 3 years ago. That's always yeah. I often get comments and people asking like, I'd love to start a channel. Like, should I do it? Do something like you're doing, and it's like, yeah, start
Yeah.
it now. I mean, depends what your goal is. If you just want to start a channel and make music and get feedback, yeah, start a channel now.
Yeah.
If you want to
Never
become, if your goal is to become Smooth McGroove too, well, don't start a channel for that reason. That's the wrong way to approach anything. Anyway,
Right.
it's enjoy the work first, and then if there's any
Right.
rewards, enjoy these afterwards. But you should really enjoy the work first.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the same for people who ask me, they want to play guitar, but then the reason is because they want to go on YouTube and make it big first. And
Yeah.
you got to be able to play guitar for guitar's sake, for having fun sake, any instrument,
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll just be so upset because, you don't have control over YouTube. A lot of it, I think, is just luck. I think
Yeah.
I got lucky whenever I've gotten the views or whenever people have found my things, so you still have to like it, be able to play the music in a room and have fun,
There is an element of luck, but at the same time, I think you do cultivate work. Like you said, you upload
hard
a
work.
lot.
Yes.
Like, you've been very consistent in uploading a lot of content over the years, and there is a lot of. How many videos have you on your channel? Like, there's a few hundred, isn't there? Like, you have a lot
I
of
think I
videos.
might have hit. I must have covered like some 300 to 400 songs in medleys and stuff. So maybe 500 songs in 200 videos.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
So
I've done weeklies for 6 years, except for 1 or 2 breaks.
there is an element of luck, but I don't.
Maybe it is hard work. and
It's
smart
not
work.
something luck shouldn't be something you hide behind if you don't make it, or if because
That's true.
You'll
You
find a
can't
lot
make-
of people who do well on YouTube. It's because they've put a lot of work into it and they've been consistent
Very
doing
true.
it. Yeah, it's look, it's a funny place, YouTube. It's exciting and fun at the same time. incredibly demoralizing at times.
Oh, absolutely. It's and if it's your your day job, for those people who are working on YouTube full time, it's even more difficult.
Yeah.
You have
Would
to rely on time.
Yeah. Would you say, yeah, if you go into it hoping to go full time into YouTube, it's you're gonna have a hard time. Even a lot of, like, I've met a lot of French YouTubers recently. I was in France,
Mhm.
and I'm part of this collective called Nesblog, and some of the some biggest YouTubers are in part of it. Anyway, I got to meet a few of them, and then kind of realized they're not doing so well, actually. That's all. They have,
Mhm.
a big subscriber base, and they're full-time into YouTube, but they're still struggling, literally struggling, to make their
Right.
meat. And so it's not an easy life, even if you make it. So if you go
Mhm.
into YouTube hoping to be popular and go full time into it, it's going to be a tough time.
Oh, definitely.
Like any artistic endeavor, like if you want to be
Oh,
a musician
yes.
and go full time as a musician, it's going to be a tough gig to make it
And you
work.
work many jobs. It's not just the
Yeah,
YouTube videos. You perform, you mix for other people, you guest on other people, you stream, you do everything.
yeah, yeah.
And then the end result is food on the table in a house, and you can keep all this gear. YouTube isn't my full-time job, if that wasn't clear.
I got that. What do you do actually?
I actually work for an energy company that controls a lot of southern USA. So I'm in IT. I do a lot of software stuff. It's not too crazy. It's not a ton of programming, but it is a lot of business skills I've
Yeah.
learned. Things that I've learned from YouTube, I've actually used at work, and the reverse is true
Really?
as well. But yeah, I work 40 hours a week, whatever, on
Yeah.
that, and then I work every week or so on YouTube.
Yeah.
So
It's a
it's
second
like,
job.
yeah, it's the second job.
I know. I
And
do.
this it's tough.
So do you do some development work or?
I might be doing a little more. I program in like C sharp, and we
Okay.
have
Yeah.
our own tools. But I also do a lot of like, I guess, management of time. We do a lot of like agile and
Yeah.
productivity.
I'm a scrum master.
No way. I'm actually trying to get my Scrum master myself, and I use these things for YouTube as well. I have a Kanban board
Yeah.
for
Okay.
YouTube. So if anyone listening doesn't know, these
Yeah.
are all workplace
Methodology for development. Yeah.
methodologies.
Um, and I don't do Scrum Master at the moment. Like I
Mhm.
it's a long story. We probably shouldn't be talking about work on these, but yeah.
Sure.
Um, yeah. Hopefully, I'll
No,
be
but
doing
it's
it
good to
again.
know, I think, that you can do music and you can do another job, or you can do it while in college or
Of
school.
course. I mean,
You just have to balance time.
skills aren't exclusive; they cross pollinate all the time. Like,
Mhm.
obviously, the stuff I know about methodology and obviously bleeds over into the way I manage my YouTube channel and my art stuff. I have to
Mhm.
be I have to have some schedule, and I have to be somewhat organized, and and the same thing with development. I'm very analytic. I've done some development work, and I was doing a lot of just testing, um,
Right.
Selenium stuff and that kind of stuff. So, for automated testing. So obviously, the analytic part of development you use into your problem solving skills for your covers. Because for me, like, a cover is a problem solving exercise.
Yeah,
How am I gonna
it
get
is.
these instruments to work in this context? What will I use?
Right.
How will I organize them? And same with a guitar solo, or if you do
Yeah.
a cover that
What are your
isn't.
requirements? How do
Yeah,
you get it? How do you spend your time? And then there's always breaks,
yeah,
things so that you don't go crazy. You have to have more than one hobby, and
yeah,
it's something I've learned because I started doing YouTube at a very important part of my life, I guess. The end of high school, my university years, kind of growing up. Hopefully, I got a little more mature, but we'll see.
yeah.
Um, Early 20s kind of thing. So, and living alone for the very first time in my life. Um, so it's a lot of learning, and I find a lot of our audience, maybe yours as well. They're all 13 to 20-year olds, and younger people who don't just look to us as musicians, but as workers.
Yeah,
You know,
that's true. Actually, that's a good point. I do know that I get probably a lot more older men than some VGM channels because of the some of
huh.
the games and platforms I cover, and
That's true.
and this looking like
Yeah,
me.
I got to get one of those.
But yeah, it's there is a majority of very younger people probably that probably look at you for maybe advice or yeah, interesting. I never thought about that actually.
Or actually, when you hosted your contest recently, the kind of questions you might have gotten, did you have any people asking, like, how do I do this in this much time? I don't think I'll have time for this.
Oh,
And the Castlevania.
the Castlevania contest. Yeah, there was a few questions, not many actually. Some people are asking for how much time they have. That was a funny
Right.
one because I only gave people 2 weeks and I got a ton of, well, a ton. I thought it was a ton. I expected about
That
five,
is a lot of.
six, and it was like 16 or something like that. It was great.
That's still quite a lot for
Yeah,
two
yeah,
weeks.
yeah. And I did another one recently. I gave people a month on Journey to Silius, and
Yes.
I pretty much had to cancel it because it wasn't.
Man.
Many
I,
came
I
back. I
do
think.
know a little bit of music from Journey to Silius.
Yeah, there was like I think there
It's
was.
very good for rock.
Yeah,
rock
no, it's
people.
really cool soundtrack. Really, really nice soundtrack. I was very surprised. I started playing it a while back, and then I was like, yeah, I gotta cover this game as well. So I did about 4 or 5 covers in a row from that, and then sort of spread them out between Castlevania covers and Mega Man covers. But how much would you say? Would you be as good a guitar player if you hadn't done the YouTube cover stuff?
Ooh, that is a scary question. I think I would be less motivated to keep playing guitar
Yeah,
because I wouldn't have the outlet. There wouldn't be a place to do it for. I don't think I would be able to find bands where I live. So this
exactly.
was
Yeah,
the I had to keep me making music. But I think it's very easy to get worse at guitar playing or not improve. By just doing the same thing every week on YouTube, same favorite licks, same riffs, all the same techniques. I don't think I would grow. So you
no,
do
no.
have, I think you have to find the challenges that you want to do to become the better musician. Like playing live, it's only happened for me 2 times in video games, but it's a completely different thing. You
Yeah,
know, play this as perfect as possible. Don't mess up, and also 50, 100 people will watch you. Or I recently did a Castlevania uh, role for Materia Collective. They had this album called Resurrection of the Night, and they gave me 3 songs from the PlayStation One Castlevania. I'm trying to remember the name, but I had like these very, very, very fast parts, and they were all diminished, crazy,
uh,
super fast things, and I I flat out couldn't play it. I had to realize I'm not that good at this kind of song and practice. And I spent 1 month every day, 1 hour working on these parts for 11 minutes of music.
wow.
But the end result was
Yeah.
so cool. So I mean, it is possible to get better at your instrument through YouTube, but
But it's probably not something you would have done if you hadn't been put in that situation. Like, would you have learned those licks or similar stuff just for the sake of it? Because
not
now you have an
necessarily.
end goal. Yeah, now you have an end goal.
Yes,
That composition or that tune, that lick
it
is
gives
really.
us purpose.
Yeah, yeah. And now you have to finish. Like, I've been in that. Not quite as drastic, but I mean, there's been a couple of times, a few licks on the mandolin or the banjo where I'm like, okay, right now I can't play it. So you spend 2 weeks just playing that one, playing that lick,
Yeah.
playing that lick. What's frustrating though is you spend all that time on a piece, and because you don't rehearse it afterwards, once it's done, it's done. You're not playing stuff with a band, so you're not
Right. That
rehearsing
is
those
true.
tunes anymore. So there's some of the stuff I would have to relearn them again. It'd probably be quicker now that I know how to play it, but yeah, it's not something I would be able to play live anytime tomorrow. You know, Ninja Gaiden, Unbreakable Determination.
So, and I
Yeah.
think music performing because I thought, I'm not going to find a band that's going to play video game music here. I don't have a big stand in your room and start relearning people's favorites and taking requests. And it's been a lot of fun. I've been doing it for a year on and off. And recently I started doing a lot more to practice for, live shows in case there are any. And it became a lot of fun. You start remembering, oh yeah, I remember playing this. I was doing this one Forest Temple from Zelda cover, and I was relearning the solo because I had to re-record it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't play it anymore. I couldn't play it anymore. And then I found out I can only play it on one guitar because I guess it just felt more comfy. And it's like that. So
Yeah.
I actually definitely would recommend, if it's convenient, try jamming out and see how you would do on a live stream of your music. It can be very fun, and it's kind of a unique challenge, and it makes you have to remember all your music.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've done some live streams recently, haven't you, or a while back on Twitch?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been really enjoying Twitch. I think it's kind of like the closest I'll get to having a band all the time, and myself, Toxic X Eternity, Little V Mills, Family Jewels, Insane in the Rim Music.
Oh, Toxic is so good, isn't he?
He is perfect
He's
at
crazy.
live streaming.
Oh,
so
God,
he's right now the person I study. How do you memorize
sickening.
the hardest covers?
Yeah.
But again, that's where you have to find your speciality. And this last week, I made a 25-minute set as and I picked some favorites, and you just have a good time. You turn on the lights, get some neon going, some colors, and just jam out, take requests, play. I was playing like Hotel California and just goofing off, but it's a lot of fun, and you can ask questions. People will chat, like, hey, can you play this, or how do you do this guitar technique? So I think it's been a lot of fun to do instead of YouTube, every Saturday or something.
And it's a different exercise. You could do it on YouTube live though.
I could,
why
but
switch
YouTube doesn't give you moderation.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
So I actually have a few tools that I think are very cool. Twitch. One is a request app, so it knows all of my songs, and people can just click a button and choose which song they want to hear.
Okay.
And then it'll show up on my screen. You can have moderators so people can kick out anyone. You can make a little bit more money from advertisements, or people can send donations live. This has actually been very useful.
Yeah.
I've done a few streams where people donated, and we had a goal of buying a new graphics card or something.
All right.
So
don't you need to be a partner to do that?
So you don't need to be a partner to receive donations. You can just have a PayPal link. But I'm right now an affiliate, so I do get some bonuses.
Okay.
They can give you like small donations in a Twitch currency.
And what's the affiliate go? Well, like, is there a threshold you have to meet or anything like that?
Yes. So you have to stream, I think, 6 or 7 times in 1 month.
Oh yeah.
And you have to have like 10 viewers average or something, so that you have to work a little hard. But to be a partner, you need 75 viewers average every stream.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
75. We're very far from that.
Yeah, that's a lot. On Twitch, it's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But hey, if one person is there, it doesn't matter. I was given great advice from the 8-bit drummer, Jared, who's a fantastic streamer. And it's just, don't look at the view count. Treat the crowd as a crowd, just like you would a real live show. Everyone's there to watch you have a good time. So, have a good time. Don't sweat. And I mess up so much.
Interesting. Yeah, Jackson Parody does a lot of these as
Yes.
well. I often go in and say hi. I don't stay for about 10 minutes, but they're really cool.
Me
Like
too.
he's an entertainer as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. You wouldn't go to a Jackson show just for his music.
No.
He's funny.
Yeah.
He's funny. He knows how to improvise, and he can pick up things really quick. So it's just like YouTube. There's something special about each channel that makes you want to be a fan, that makes you want to subscribe, and I mean, I think it's a really, really good practice tool anyway. You can get over stage fright.
That's very true. Yeah. It's funny. Like, I come from the other side of the coin. Like, I've played live all my life.
Right.
It's sort of done that, and then I stopped playing live for a while, and YouTube was the one thing that got me back into playing music, which was it's great. Like it's the best gig I've ever had,
Right,
really.
that's
Like I
wonderful.
just, but now I'm at the point I really don't want to play live anymore. I've done it for too long and didn't quite enjoy it, I have to say. I did. It's not quite true, but it just, yeah, yeah, yeah. I've done it for too long.
Sure. Would you
I've,
say that would you be able to play live if it like a video game con, or some sort of concert more
I've been
where
asked. I've
where
been
you're
asked to do a few, but I would need a different setup. Like I need obviously to, and I need to make my own backing tracks. And the
Oh
way,
yeah.
yeah, obviously, and then the way I have sort of the lead setup in a lot of these covers, the lead is split between those two instruments, the banjo and the
Right.
mandolin. So it's I would have to rework some of the covers. It'd be a lot of work, and would I enjoy it? I'm not. I don't think I would. I'm I'm
Oh,
getting
fair enough.
very. See, this is one of the reasons I like doing this because I'm probably not a very sociable person to start with anymore. As I'm getting older, things aren't getting any better for me to socialize. So
Sure.
I'd much rather stay in my room and do these covers here.
No,
Um,
fair enough. And I think it still entertains
but I still
people.
like to talk to people, so obviously this is a good way to get to talk to
Oh, of
people
course.
one on one.
Loving this.
Yeah, it's been great. Love doing these. They're probably not getting enough views, but
Oh,
I want to keep.
I've watched a couple since you've had some really cool people on.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I wanted to talk to people that I enjoy, and or I would love to talk to. And unfortunately, you can't do this in a convention or in any public environment because it's just other people. There's a crowd. There's distractions.
Yeah.
There's alcohol
Cost.
gets involved, and suddenly you're not having a conversation anymore. And so yeah,
You have to
these are
wait until nighttime when everyone's, just really relaxed, really tired, or
yeah,
drunk.
yeah. And then yeah, it's rare to have these.
Mhm.
So I'm glad I started these, and I want to keep doing them.
Right.
But anyway, we've been chatting for about I don't know an hour, 20 minutes or so, or something
Oh.
like that. It's been it's great. But do you want to maybe plug your channel? And are you on Patreon as well? By the way.
Yes, I'm definitely on Patreon. That has been a fantastic way for everybody, I think, to
Yeah.
grow fans, get closer to fans, pay for things, Adobe,
Yeah.
new amps.
It's a game changer for at least artists and musicians on YouTube. It just
Absolutely.
if and I'm gonna bore people, but I'm gonna say this every time we mention Patreon. It's the single best way to support an artist on the internet.
Oh yeah,
Um,
hands down.
yeah. So if you want to help your favorite artist, I can only recommend that you do it on Patreon. It's there's no there's nothing close to it. Anyway.
It's fantastic.
So what's your
But yes,
Patreon? Ro Panuganti or
yes, everything is Ropanyuganti. I'm on Twitter, Ropanyuganti, Facebook, Ropanyuganti Music, because Facebook is weird. And of course, youtube.com/c/Ropanyuganti. I upload every Wednesday, more or less. I'm also on Bandcamp. That's ropanyuganti.bandcamp.com. I have a brand new album coming out in a few weeks based on the lesser known songs from Ocarina of Time. Yes, it's all the temple themes, all the overworld. So,
cool.
If you like progressive rock, metal, blues, fun stuff like that.
Send me all your links to social medias and Patreon and all
Yes.
that. We'll put them in the video description afterwards.
Appreciate that.
Dude, thank you very much for your time. It was actually heaps of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, people never know what to expect in these, and they're like, should I prepare something or should I any topics? No, we'll
I
just
prepared a small speech for you.
yeah, no, we'll just chat. That's all there.
I
So,
love it. No, it's great.
dude. Thank you very much, folks. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Rope Paniganti.
Like, comment, subscribe.
That was cool, dude. Thank you very much.